Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to an actual full video. Let's stop that echo straight away. Welcome to a full video. We are reacting to my awful, really bad Premier League predictions. Now, they weren't up on this channel. They're on another channel, but there's no point in watching them. I'm going to tell you them here. And if you think I'm lying, I literally didn't even get a single one right. So I don't know why I'd lie about that. Okay, let's kick off. Also, I need to say, I did these predictions, I think 3 weeks before the window shut. Alright, now, that might not have changed a lot of them drastically, but that does explain where some of mine are, and I'll say that to you at the time. So, I had Burnley in last, only one off there. Burnley came 19th. Just weren't good enough. Scott Parker, it didn't work for him. That's cool. I then had Leeds going down in 19th, which is the first bad one of a pretty long run of bad ones, actually. Yeah, Leeds came 14th. Daniel Farker, I don't know. That guy was a relegation magnet up until this season. I don't know what happened this year, but he learned how to do the Premier League, apparently. 18th, I had Brentford, which, in all fairness, right, with the Brentford shout, Keith Andrews had never managed a team before, right, and they just lost a lot of their best players. Like, I don't think that's an awful shout. I think Brentford really overachieved this season, came 9th, they came above Chelsea this season, Jesus Christ. So yeah, that's bad. It gets worse because I had Sunderland in 17th. Now, I think a lot of predictions that I saw online had Sunderland going down. So at least I didn't have them going down. I had them just about staying up. I was still off by 10 places though. Sunderland came 7th. Oh, what do I know? I had West Ham in 16th. Now, I'd like to say, I had West Ham. I thought that was low for West Ham at the start of the season. But I thought, well, Graham Potter is an absolute shit manager. And they're going to sack him halfway through and then they'll get better. They did get better when they sacked Potter, but they didn't get much better. So they ended up going down on the final day in 18th. I had Wolves 15th. No idea what I was thinking there. Well, I think Vitor Pereira had a good end to the season with Wolves, and I thought, oh, well, they'll carry that on and they'll be all right. No, no, they didn't win for like 4 months. So yeah, rock bottom for Wolves. I had Forest in 14th, which isn't too bad. They came 16th. I thought they'd be a lot worse than they were last season, which they have been. Yeah, they were always a power of friendship team, and it's been chaos there this season. So, Fulham, I had him 13th. They ended up coming 11th after winning on the final day. They were 13th before that last game. I had a look. Yeah, not great. I mean, just about that area. I had Palace in 12th, and for the first time in, what, the last 6 seasons, Palace haven't come 11th or 12th. They came 15th this year. They've got a Conference League final just coming up, which I don't know if I mentioned in the video, but I think they'll win that. And then is where it goes really badly. 11th, I had Manchester United. So, we all thought, right, that one of either Spurs or United was going to be crap again this season. I went for United. Incorrect. Didn't really factor in the fact that they'd only have 1 game. I mean, I assumed they'd be in the Cups, but they'd knackered that straight away. And then they actually sacked Ruben Amorim and became a much better team. So yeah, really, really poor for me. I just didn't rate Cunha or Mbeumo at all. I did not rate them signings. And they didn't have a goalkeeper by then as well. This is before they'd signed that Lamans. They still had Onana as the starter, so give me some grace there. I had Everton 10th. They came 13th. Fair enough. I had Bournemouth in 9th, which actually at the time I said was quite high for Bournemouth. They came 6th. Now, I thought that was high for Bournemouth because, like, they basically lost their entire defence. And I didn't know how good Iraola would deal with that. Pretty well, it turned out. So yeah, there's that. I had Spurs in 8th. Again, this is when Spurs were still linked with Eze. They were linked with a couple of other attackers. And they had actually a full team. They did just spend the whole year having everyone injured again. don't know what to do with Spurs when I do next year's predictions. No idea what to do with them. Yeah, but that's terrible. Off by 9 spots there. I had Brighton in 7th, which is my closest one. They actually came 8th, sneaking into the Conference League, I do believe. Close. Fabian Hersey did a decent job. Not too bad. I had Newcastle 6th, and I want to preface this Newcastle one especially because I said it all depends on which striker they buy, because I was sure that Isak was going to leave, and I thought if they buy a good striker, they'll come 6th. If they buy a shit one, I said they could come as low as 9th. They actually ended up coming 12th. I think that's what I've written there, yeah. 12th place, because they bought 2 bad strikers. They bought Voltemada, who started well and then disappeared until they played Chelsea and he scored 2 against us, because of course he did. And they signed Johan Wissa, who was injured for 80% of the season. So yeah, not a great year for them, realistically. I had Villa in 5th, which is another close one. Villa actually came 4th, of course. I rate Unai Emery, he's a good manager. And I did say in that video that I thought they'd win the Europa League, which they have done. So at least that's something right. You know, we got praise be. We've got, Jesus Christ, I had City in 4th. And I thought, for some reason, that the top 4 was going to be really close. I think this was quite a universal feeling at the start of the year, that the top 4 was going to be quite a close battle. It wasn't. And so I had City in 4th, just because they looked like they'd fallen off a bit last year. And then they bought Gehi and Semenyo in January and came back in the 2nd. I had Arsenal 3rd. Again, I thought it would be very tight, and I thought that Arsenal would just fuck it up in the last 2 games and that would drop them to 3rd. Yeah, that didn't happen. They tried their best to bottle it, but Man City bottled it even worse. So, yeah, they won the league, of course. Then this could be bad, because you'll notice that there's only 2 teams left, and one of them is Chelsea. Luckily, I only stuck us 2nd. Again, this was before the end of the transfer window. We were still linked with Mike Maignan. We still didn't know. We still were linked with a couple of other attackers who we didn't end up with. And we still had Enzo Maresca. So I feel like 2nd was an okay shout. We were up there up until about December, and then it all went wrong. Of course, we finished 10th. We hired a PE teacher to be our manager, and that's where it all went wrong. And then this one, I don't mind being wrong about. I think a lot of people will be wrong. I think a lot of people will have said that Liverpool were 1st. They, of course, came 5th. But again, this was when they were still looking ironed on to sign Mark Gehi, and their whole defensive problems that happened the entire season would not have happened if they had actually just signed Gehi instead of waiting until the final fucking day when Palace could not get a replacement. So that's on them. And yeah, it all went wrong. Isak was injured a lot. Wirtz never really did anything. So yeah, pretty bad. Pretty considerably bad. Next year, hoping to just at least get 1 correct. That would be good. Thanks.